Good morning, spooky friends. Or is it evening? Or is it, even better, later than that? Time went away when we lost the sky to fire. At least we still have the arts. Welcome to MCTV Local 13, and welcome to Sketchbook Dissections.
Sketchbook Dissections. Sketchbook Dissections. Wonderful.
Hey everybody, welcome to Sketchbook Dissections. It's been a little while since I've done this. My goal is to try to do a few shorter videos. Try not to have the 20-minute opus of, a single sketchbook. Maybe try to just do a few smaller things. Today I have a little weird one. This one's not actually a sketchbook. It's a trapper keeper. Anybody that grew up going to school in the 80s certainly knows about these. I got this back when I started doing Emo Boy. It was the first comic book I had ever done. It was my first kind of out in the world project that wasn't, just mine. And so I started having, newspaper articles and stuff like that. And I wanted to kind of keep track of things. That's why I bought this. This kind of just became a trapper keeper for a few years where I thought it'd be fun to maybe open it up and take a look at what's inside of it. And so you can see there's articles, letters, rejections, all kinds of stuff. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Let's see. So right off the bat, here's a picture of Dan Veto's son. He's the head of SLG, and this is the Emo Boy T-shirt that he. I still have one or two of these Emo Boy T-shirts. That's kind of cool. What else do we got? Brendan Burford, comics editor. I guess I should probably blank out my old address. Not that anybody's going to show up to a place I lived a decade and a half ago. Dear Steve, I've been aware of your work for some time now. I'm writing regarding your most recent submission of Steve Reno. So back in 2006, which is a good 3 or 4 years since I kind of stopped making comic strips, which was my initial passion. That's kind of what I wanted to do for a long time, was be a syndicated cartoonist. There's something very singular about your comics that I find myself attracted to. I like your sensibilities, and I think you have a great grasp on your characters. Your drawings are incredibly attractive as well. Due to all these reasons, I regret that I'm going to have to pass on the opportunity to syndicate Steve Reno. I worry about this strip's ability to connect with the mainstream newspaper comics reading public. In my mind, it's their loss. It's a really nice rejection letter. Sometimes you get the standard form letter, which is kind of how I started, and then I got the form letter with a little handwritten note, and then I started getting actual correspondence, and they'd give you tips and stuff to work on. Let's see here. This is an Emo Boy review. For a while, apparently I was copying and pasting reviews I'd find online, and I would email them to my mom. Let's take a look at this one. It's from Broken Frontier, an online comic book news review site. This is a review of the Emo Boy Volume 1, Nobody Cares About Anything Anyway, so why don't we all just die? At heart, these stories look at life going on around Emo Boy and how he deals with the complications of living, or doesn't deal with them, as the case often is. The angsty teen self-absorption is dialed up to 11 to create a satire looking at some of the shallowness of the average high schooler. At the same time, Emon taps into the core of the human experience, being the geek, the nerd, the left out, the cast out. I had experience. Being that age when, to you, the world really does revolve around you. For every moment where Emo Boy taps into a universal truth, however, there are a half dozen more where the character shows how selfish and self-absorbed he is. Emo Boy's more preposterously pompous monologues and poems are emblematic of this. I loved writing those. I called them e-monologues. Emo monologues. Let's see here. I'm not sure what this review is from. I'll tell you what I think of when someone says the word Emo Boy. Young fans of this horrid new wine rock that spew their self-loathing all over my radio station. Usually it would turn out to be the latter, and they'd spend 3 class periods writing bad lyrics, explaining their situation, giving these overly emotional, underappreciated brats an icon with superpowers as brilliant. The art is beautiful, with endless curves, just enough exaggeration, and mastered use of negative space. Iman shows off his mad skill as well. Oh, this is good. Why wasn't it more popular? Library Journal. That's kind of big. That's you know, they do book reviews. They've reviewed my books. Imagine a 15-year-old spouting dark and dire metaphors, subject to frequent anxiety attacks, friendless, hopeless, abandoned by his mother, mired in existential anguish. Now imagine him as a superhero. That's Emo Boy. His emo powers frequently spin out of control, resulting in many disasters, like blowing up a girl's head, projectile vomiting across the stage of his favorite band, and growing 20 feet tall and destroying the roof of his school gymnasium. Yes, the story of Emo Boy is laced with humor, his suicide attempt by overdosing on Tic Tacs, battling haikus, and the attack by the Wolfestator. Yet Emo Boy deals with his big issues such as teen love, sexuality, friendship, and peer pressure in a way to which many teens will relate. Although this is a collection of comic book episodes, it reads like a good novel, allowing the reader to identify with Emo Boy. Boy, it really makes you think, doesn't it? More reviews. What else do we got, though? I know we got something besides reviews in here. Okay, what's this? Sincerely, Mary Murphy, Steve's Graham and #1 fan. This is from my grandmother. So, of everybody in my family, I'd have to say my grandmother was the one person who really loved reading anything I did. All my Steve Reno comics, Emo Boy, she read it all and seemed to genuinely love the work I did. To the editor of People section of the Madison Shoreline Times. So I got this in a box after my grandmother died. I never really, I knew that she would contact these places trying to get things for, she got me on TV once on our local news stations, this kind of stuff. In your December 3rd, 1997 issue, you featured an article on Stephen Eman and his cartoons. I thought you might be interested in an update on Steve, possibly for your People section. She's so sweet. In February, Steve was notified that he was the grand prize winner in Follett College Stores and Andrew McNeil Universal Strip Search Contest to discover the next generation of leading cartoonists. You chose wrong, you bastards. I am enclosing a copy of his notification, which explains also that in addition to the $2,000 prize, the cartoons he submitted will be featured in a book, RJ Studio, blah, blah, blah. Some characters from my old Steve Reno comic strip. It's a Emo Boy poster that SLG sent me. It was advertising the first issue at conventions and stuff. On the back of it, the company that brought you Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and Milk and Cheese is pleased to bring you the next big thing. I'm starting to feel like a big failure here. Did I live up to all this, all these accolades? This comic will be for emo kids, what Johnny the Homicidal Maniac was for goths. My legion of emos. Filled with tears, sobbing, whining, bits of brain, everything you could want in a comic about an emo kid. But don't let the emo trappings fool you. Emo Boy is an insightful and well-drawn look at high school angst, music, and the things both emo and non-emo. Oh yeah, let's get into the newspaper articles. Oh man, so I always loved this headline. It's so me. Can't get a girlfriend? Steve Reno's doodles draw at the humor and pangs of dating. I was like the poster boy for Can't Get a Girlfriend. It was in my local newspaper. See, I don't think I took any notes in school. I just doodled in my notebook all the time. That's like the big quote that they... This is cute. Here's me sitting on my bed. This is at my grandparents' house. So like 1994 or so, I moved to live with my grandparents. And that's when Steve Reno became the thing. Let's find a random paragraph just for the hell of it. I used to draw this little guy called Jimmy in that style. He didn't say anything. Then I started doing these Where's Waldo type drawings and I started putting friends in. That developed into the strips where the people in the cartoons are all based on friends of mine. Mostly people who read them know who the characters really are. It's fascinating. It's a 2-page spread in the newspaper. The thing that I didn't like is that I remember we had this like conversation for like an hour and then they would take bits and pieces of things you said in multiple conversations and put it into one paragraph so it sounds like I can't focus for more than 2 seconds. So that one was fascinating because that's one my grandmother referenced in the 97 thing. That was literally, the rest of these newspaper articles were after I won this national contest for finding the next great comic strip by Andrews McMeel, who published like the book collections of Zits and, you know, all the different comic strips. So there's kind of a reason for that. That one that we just looked at was literally just, I was a kid who sat in my room and drew comic books, and they made, that wasn't published anywhere, and they made a whole article about it. It was a 2-page spread. Let's see, DHHS, Daniel Hand High School graduate named top collegiate cartoonist. It's my mom and my grandmother giving me smooches, me looking like I have hair. Wow, look at that hair. It's thin hair, but it's hair. That was nice. Look at that, it gets 2 more pages. Let's find a random paragraph. The Middlesex Community College sophomore sent what he considered to be the 12 best strips from his newest Sweet Nothings newsletter. The issue formed a story, and at that point I thought it was my best issue. I'm still proud of it. I tried to pick the best from the strips. I had my grandma and my mom pick their favorites so I could narrow them down. Oh no. What's this? Iman lives with his mother, grandmother, and a brother. His grandmother, Mary, considers herself Iman's #1 fan. I've been watching him since he was a baby. He never scribbled when you put a pen or pencil in his hand. He tried to draw something. I've tried to encourage him. I've always told him I'm your #1 fan. Here's another local, low-key, condescending. Cartoonist's efforts to fathom girls reaps grand prize. You wonder where those markings and doodles inside of ancient cave walls came from? The cave nerd on a Friday night. And this is stand-up Steve. The guy getting eaten by the Tyrannosaurus? That's the cave jock. The girl drowning in the pit of fire is the cave girl who turned him down to date the cave jock. Oh, he's got jokes. Watch for this guy in your comics. Stephen Iman, 20, a sophomore studying art at Middlesex Community Technical College, has won a national award for his cartooning. The contest in which he was recently named a grand prize winner seeks to find the most talented young cartoonist in the nation and share their work with others. So we got some more rejections. So this is one of those ones, it's a form rejection from Jay Kennedy at King Features. But he wrote in it, Dear Steve, I don't know why I didn't see the submission earlier. I apologize for the months-long delay in responding to it. The characters' personalities are good and the premise is fine. You didn't do a good enough job of relaying how the characters are connected to one another. Sometimes the storytelling within a strip is unclear, so I can't be sure what had taken place. The photographic backdrops are novel. For a while I was trying to make comic strips where I would take pictures of locations and I would draw my characters in them. By that I mean your drawing style is so loose that at times the figures look almost abstract against the photorealism of the backgrounds. Your lettering is so loose that it runs together, making it more difficult to read than it should be. All in all, you clearly have talent, but are still at an early stage of your artistic development. I'll be happy to consider future submissions by you. That's totally good and fair and accurate. Here's the same guy. This is an earlier one. The bad luck at dating theme gets old quickly, doesn't it? Work harder at distancing yourself from the influence of Calvin and Hobbes. Make your characters look less like one another. So I would really take these all into consideration. Every month I would make a pamphlet of a few months worth of cartoons, and I would send them out to friends, but I would also send them out to syndicates. So every month or 2 months, maybe 3 months tops, these different editors, there are only 6 syndicates, so it's not a big deal. They'd see my stuff, and I would get feedback from them, and I would apply that feedback. I would letter larger, I would change the way the characters look, and then I would send out another one in a couple months. And so by the end of the run of Steve Areno, they all knew me by name. Sometimes they would call me on the phone and we'd discuss submissions. This one's kind of cool. August 31st, 2004. Dear Steve, Thank you for submitting Steve Reno to the Washington Post Writers Group for our consideration. Fortunately, we're unable to assist in your syndication effort at this time. I'm not sure if you remember me from my days at United Media. I do remember your work. I don't really have a lot to suggest at this time. Your character development seems to be coming along, but there's still something not quite there for me. I thought the gags that worked the best were when their friends intruded on Steve Reno and Elaine, like the one where he says, "Private conversation, Maria." I also think occasional bolding of words would help the flow of the dialogue. If you don't mind, please resubmit in 4 to 6 months if no one else picks you up in the meantime. I mean, that's good feedback, right? That's if you're getting rejected, that's what you want to hear. Looking back, like, I understand where they're coming from. I mean, I think I had that kind of Seinfeld curse of which is, I'm just making a comic strip with my thoughts. Here's me. Here's some of my friends. There was no hook to it. There's nothing that you can really sell aside from, do you like this art? Do you like the jokes? If so, do you want it? Do you want this comic strip? When I did Emo Boy and I got that picked up, like, Emo Boy had a hook. Like, you could explain what the comic was and people would laugh. You couldn't do that with Steve Reno. Here she is again. Same person back when they were at United Media, so yes, I do remember. I quite like what you've done with this, but I couldn't get anyone else very interested. Not sure why. Maybe your humor is too subtle and or dry for my cohorts? Yeah, probably. Hope you get a bite on this from someone else. If not, please feel free to resubmit if you continue to rework it. Los Angeles Times Syndicate. This is 2000. I tried drawing everybody in a new style where they had these big noses and worm-like bodies. Dear Mr. Iman, you recently received a rejection from us for your comic strip Life is Good. Although we don't feel Life is Good is ready for syndication, I did want to write you to encourage you to continue your work. Life is Good is a little too close to a college strip. The characters need to want something other than survival, and I, for one, think a few of them could use nose jobs. That said, we would be happy to see more material from you. Here's Emilago again. 2007 now. Dear Steve, very first thing, my sincere apologies for taking so interminably long to review your submission. Next, thank you for submitting Steve Reno to the Washington Post Writers Group. Even though I subscribe to Charles Schultz's statement that doing a comic strip is saying the same thing over and over again without repeating yourself, I do think Steve Reno has become repetitive. I'd like to see you break out from the formula, if possible. That's assuming no other syndicate has offered you a contract and you're interested in resubmitting sometime next year. Just wasn't gonna happen. Oh, here's some fan art from Emo Boy. It's Amber. And there you go. That's my Trapper Keeper. This went longer than I intended. Oops. That's what happens. And with that, I'm going to sign off. Like, comment, subscribe. This Trapper Keeper has been dissected.
Are you still here? Oh, good. I'm so glad. I thought we lost you. We lose so many around here and in such violent manners. Please like and subscribe to ensure your safety.